self-service option. So self-service option meaning if you are an electric and gas customer, right? You barely call. You don't have to really call the electric and gas company when things are going okay. But when you are, let's say, when you're moving in or moving out, you need to start or stop your service. So goal is, how do we help you start and stop your service via different channels? So PSC already has platforms that provide these services via different channels, like website, like visual IVR, like IVR, like mobile app. So there are these 5 different channels by which you can enable your move of the service, like start service and stop service. But if you're not utilizing it, we need to find out, first of all, why you aren't utilizing it, and did you even try utilizing those, right? So in order to answer those business questions and then get the call rate down, I have to have the analytics behind it. So what are we doing? We are actually trying to figure out the customer journey. We're trying to figure out that how Vish as a customer went to agent call. So if I called agent and I called for bill adjustment, what did I do prior to that? Did I go to website? Did I look at my bill? Did I try to adjust the payment arrangement through the through the website? So all this data will clearly show the trend and everything on the on a journey analytics use case, right? So what it is the way company will benefit is it is their direct strategic goal to reduce the number of calls, and this analytics will enable them to create strategy to how to further reduce the costs that are coming to the agent. So that's number one. And number two, it will help them decide it will help them with the customer segmentation. So figure out the problems with like dunning. So dunning is a collection problem. What if you have one of the use case scenario for data scientists would be who is most likely to dun and most likely to go to collection. Based on the data that we are collecting, data scientists would be able to create a model that would predict that who is most likely to done in next month or next few months. And that's based on the characteristic of their account. So that's based on their balance, that's based on their on their electricity usage or gas usage, that's based on how new the customer is. Those characteristics all together would help them create that model. So I'm making sure that those characteristics are brought in. We are actually getting 150 different attributes of a given customer for data scientists to work with to figure out like what kind of model that can be created to predict accurately who is going to done, how they're going to recuperate their collection and stuff like that. So
okay, that's perfect.
And then, sorry, you asked me the question about something at the end. You asked me about like what exactly my team does, or sorry, I think I totally forgot to mention that.
So my question was basically about this project, like your contribution towards it, like how are you participating in this project, particularly in terms of data engineering or data science? And so that's what I asked.
So perfect. So on day-to-day basis, like for example, right now, I am involved in creating the data flow for operations. So right now we are in the middle of the development for data engineering pipeline. So number one thing that we have to do for developing data engineering pipeline is establish proper data flows and data flow architecture. So I'm creating those right now, working with client as well, making sure that they agree to it and they approve that too. So we have, throughout this project, we have a bunch of milestones, and I have to make sure that each milestones are meet with the quality that client's expectations, that is according to client's expectation. So we have a testing team. For example, I'm able to the way it works is I basically work with testing team, make sure that all the test cases are laid out correctly for the quality product. We bring
Okay.
those test case data back before we move this code from development environment to QA or QA to production. We have client approval required. So we have to bring client in. We have to show them what's going on. We also have to show them some of the test results, just so that we can gain the confidence and get the approval, and then we move forward. So there's a lot that I do on day-to-day basis in terms of like operations itself. So I don't know if that's what you're gearing towards or something or something
That's
else.
also helpful. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
because, I actually, through the job posting, I actually saw that, a relationship development with clients was also really important. So I think since
Yep.
you were the sales enabler and you are involved in customer facing activities as well, so that must have, really helped with developing that personal connection with the clients, that they can reach out to
Yep.
you. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And Zunair, my biggest thing is, look, it's not that I need to move to these jobs right away, but I
Okay.
definitely see myself in a director role. I'm already working in that capacity, and the thing
Yeah.
is, I'm very happy with where I am. But as I move into from senior manager to director role, I also have a need to create my LinkedIn profile. Meaning,
Yeah.
see, when I first started with Puget Sound Energy, when I go to the client and go into this sales meeting, you know that the standard practice is everybody looked you up, correct? And so
Yeah.
if my profile is not according to my title, right, which is, even though my title is senior manager, I definitely want to create profile that is more geared towards director, because that's exactly what I do on day-to-day basis. So if I don't have that profile, I don't get that instant credibility, right? I also don't get that. I also get judged by the cover of the book, which isn't quite right. So that's another reason that I definitely want to make sure that the LinkedIn profile that you guys help me create is pretty strong on that.
Definitely. I'll make sure that.
Okay.
And so before starting the second role, since we are actually discussing the LinkedIn profile, so let's just, discuss that when I'm creating it. So which are some of your particular skills that you particularly feel like that, okay, I really want to be portrayed like this person, or these are the skills that I really want to highlight through my LinkedIn profile. So do you have any preference in mind?
Yeah, so I think in terms of cloud architecture, I do have a AWS certificate, although like I need to renew that as well soon. By February, I'm going to have to renew it, but I have AWS cloud. It's a solution architect associate certificate. So I'm definitely part of the cloud architecture team as well. So that's one thing we are doing, the AWS implementation at this client. I've worked with, on the previous client, I've worked with big data, like a Hadoop platform. So I've done quite a bit of that. I'm also here, I'm working with HANA platform, which is new to me and my role. I have never worked with SAP HANA before, but it is new, and I'm adapting to it. I'm kind of adding one more technology under my belt. So there are, I don't quite know exactly like what technology to highlight, but I think I want to definitely take some of your opinion from that. So let's see what we collect, and then I can tell you what I want to highlight, what I don't want to highlight. So maybe if I have some examples, it'll help me a lot.
Okay, sure. Because, okay, so one thing I first want to clarify is that when we talk about HANA or AWS, so were these your suggestions that there should be these tools in place to help develop this solution? Or was that the company's decision that these are the tools that you will be using?
Yeah, so it's combination. We came up with AWS oriented solution only because that's the background I'm coming with, and also it's something that we have done, that I have done before on a previous project as well. But here it was client's preference that we do hybrid solution. So that's their preference. I have to then make sure from technical perspective, is this solution even sound? Is it even possible, right? Because sometimes what happens is when you want to talk, when you talk about hybrid architecture, which is using two different technologies together, and it has to be seamless to the customer. If when you are developing such a virtualized solution, you got to make sure that these two technologies will work together seamlessly for the customer. So we had to do during our assessment phase. By the way, first 2 months of this project was assessment. So we just did assessment of like what clients have, what is the future solution that we are proposing, and is it going to work? So we did. Clients suggested that no, we have this hybrid approach, and we then did the we then did the a quick POC to really figure out that whether this is possible or not, whether it is feasible or not. So
okay, perfect. Okay, and so while I was asking about the the skills that you would like to highlight in your LinkedIn. So basically, by that I was actually referring to the first section, which is the about, or it's now called the about section. Previously, it used to be called the summary section, and that's where you begin with what I do. So yeah, so that's the part that basically that's where we create a value proposition for you, that I am this and this sort of a person, this is what I've done in the past, and this is what I can do for your company. So I can see that you
right.
have listed down a lot of your expertise, which is great. So apart from that, I just wanted to know, like, for example, some clients have preference that I really want to highlight that I have, I am well versed with data science or data transformation. That obviously you are. But other than that, some clients also think that, okay, project management could be another thing that could go with it. Or I
Yeah.
really want to
So
show that I am a team manager. Yeah.
that's okay. That's a very good question. You know what? Let me tell you. Like, so
Mhm.
last 3 projects. Can you give me 1
Mhm.
second? Sorry, my
Sure,
kid
sure.
is just.
Yeah,
I
sure.
really
No,
apologize. Give me a second.
no, no, that's okay.
Sorry. So
Yeah. Mhm.
my apology. Um,
No, no, that's okay.
so
Yeah.
one thing that is um, that is kind of that I how do I say it? That differentiates myself with
Mhm.
others is that if you look at my last 3 projects, so
Yeah.
it's Puget Sound Energy, it's
Mhm.
Sempra, which is San Diego Gas and Electric, and then City of Hope.
Mhm.
So I have in last 3 projects, the situation that I was brought in the project
Mhm.
was like, hey, this project needs help. For example, at City of Hope, I was brought in February of that year. I think it was 2016. I don't remember exactly what year, but it was 2016, and I was brought in February. That project was going on since a year before, like since November. And in 4
Mhm.
months, they didn't achieve any of their milestones. So I was
Oh.
brought in. First of all, I have never had work in a healthcare background, right? So that's number one.
Mhm.
If you see on my resume, no other
Yeah.
healthcare project, but City of Hope was
Yeah.
first one. I was brought in. This person said, hey, look, you have a lot of data background, data transformation background. You are familiar with the conversion processes. You have led the project that I led the conversion project at LA County. But he's like, this is a
Mhm.
completely different thing. If you were doing county data, like it's a Department of Social Services versus here, it's a patient care and patient data. How,
Mhm.
can you apply the same methodology and really help us with the conversion because we are really stuck. So they were in February, the go live is scheduled for November, and that date is not moving. And think about this, if we go live with a new product, but we haven't done converting of the old data, when patients come into the hospital, what are you going to do? You have a new system, but you don't have a data, correct?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's a biggest threat, right, to any organization who's spending so much money on a brand new system. So I was brought in. They
Yeah.
said, Vish, are you going to be able to deliver this? And I said, you know what? I'll apply my principles of data conversion and just the background of data transformation. But I need help from the functional side because obviously I
Mhm.
didn't know the patient data and how patient care data works, right? So I had
Yeah.
to have functional person. So they promised me that functional person. So I kind of co-lead that project with a functional person. So hand in hand, we basically, even though we lost 4 months of time, our go live
Mhm.
was exactly on the time that they decided. So we basically accomplished the conversion task in 4 months earlier from my perspective, right?
Oh.
So we so that was that project. At Sempra, similar deal. At Sempra, the earlier team had spent 5 months trying to establish the data analytics, big data analytics platform, and they
Mhm.
did not finish. They had quite a bit of like they finished few milestones, but the project was not done. It was incomplete, and the
Okay.
timeline was up to December 31st. And
Mhm.
I was brought in almost in February beginning, saying that guys, this project has been in a mess. We didn't deliver our obligations. There is a lot of work to be done. Can you come in and help to deliver this project? So again, I was
Mhm.
brought in a situation where it was so hot, it was so hostile at the client, where client wasn't even willing to talk to us. Like they were not very
Oh.
happy with Accenture itself. So I basically took 6 months. So within a matter of first 3 months, I started giving. Basically, what I did was I broke down my deliveries in Agile. In 3 months, I
Mhm.
delivered. So we were supposed to deliver 6 use cases. So in first three
Okay.
months, I delivered 2 use cases and because they didn't have any use cases at that point. So I delivered
Oh.
2 use cases with the agile point and gained client credibility. All of a sudden in 2 months, the whole like the same people who wouldn't even look at me and who wouldn't even talk to me in 2 months, 2 months after, they are like listening to me. They're really like helping me. They are really following that. They are so we basically not only deliver the product at the end of 6 months,
Mhm.
but also we gain clients' confidence. Now, guess what? At Sempra, we were investing, Accenture was investing in another project, which was SAP related.
Yeah.
Now, that
Mhm.
was $60 million deal. Because I was working my butt off. Before, anytime you try to sell that $60 million deal, clients were telling Accenture that you guys couldn't even deliver 2.5 million data analytics project. How are you going to deliver $60 million project? So when I was brought
Mhm.
in February, my my client account lead, who is seeing entire account overall, not just this project but everything else, he said, Vish, I'm trying to sell a big deal here. I need you to get this credibility back, and I need you to
Mhm.
get this data analytics project going and finished, right? Deliver on our
Okay.
obligation because that's our obligation. So I did that, and we because the relationship improved in a couple of months. The
Mhm.
third month, on the third month, we had a CIS deal that we bid on, and we eventually won it.
Okay.
But so it was a great deal for
Yeah.
overall like account as well, because see, when you don't deliver on other side, client doesn't care. It's Accenture. So so
Yeah.
I had to really save the Accenture's name. So again, I was the maximizer. At Puget Sound Energy, I told you that we tried to sell this data analytics project 3 times before. It wasn't I wasn't part of that team, but
Mhm.
this fourth time when we were doing that, I was part of the team and I was kind of helping them. I helped, I basically helped them understand what kind of work we have done in the past and how we can
Mhm.
help them realize their dream, right? The client's dream. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I can't take the full credit for it, but what it's also my team. But
Yeah.
my biggest point is maximizer. I could come
Mhm.
in a situation that is really worst or bad situation or worst situation, and I could come in and make your worst situation better. You see what I'm saying? Like better
True.
in the sense where getting you out of that hole. So